And they got the throttle on.
We're at the granddaddy of American street circuits, Long Beach, California, a city that over the 33 history of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach has been transformed from a rundown seaport to a beachside economic success story. Last week, the streets of Las Vegas echoed with horsepower as the Champ Car World Series kicked off its 2007 season. And the checkered flag, Will Power had KO'd all challengers.
Will Power is the winner.
The 26-year-old Australian was the class of the field all weekend long. Despite Will Power's dominance, there is a grid full of headstrong heroes looking to take him on as Champ Car's best does battle in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Hello and welcome to sunny Southern California for the second of 3 races on consecutive weekends to commence the 2007 Champ Car season. I'm Jeremy Shaw, joined by my colleague James Hinchcliffe, who finished 7th in this morning's Atlantic Championship race. Hot out of the car, James, and as in Las Vegas last week, all sorts of stories to follow, but not much time. This is a track with a tremendous history.
It absolutely does, Jeremy. We're in our 33rd annual Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Of course, it started with Formula One cars, the first Champ Car race back in '84, won by Mario Andretti, and it's an illustrious place. It's one of the drivers' favorite events. It's a fantastic track, and as always here at Long Beach, which is usually the opening race, race 2 this year, there's been a lot of drama and a lot of action, and let's take a look at some of the things that have already happened this weekend.
Here's a view on Saturday morning. Paul Tracy loses control of his in-deck car coming out of turn 1. But on the power just a little bit too hard. Nose first very heavily into the wall. The car crashed down again. And Paul Tracy suffered a back injury and will not be able to drive this weekend in Long Beach.
I just came out of the corner and just the car spun and hooked to the inside. And I hit the inside wall, pretty much dead square, and the car just came to an abrupt stop and came up off the ground and slammed down on the ground, and it looks like I've got a fractured vertebrae in my back. So I talked to Dr. Pendersky, and you know, he's basically saying, you know, it's 3 months is the healing time on it. So he advised me to go see Dr. Trammell as soon as possible this week, and then try to get on a physical therapy program, and you know, hopefully we can speed that up, but you know, the initial prognosis is about 3 months.
So a great shape for Paul Tracy, who was on really good form at last weekend in Las Vegas, but what's generally bad news for one driver could be good news for another. And Oriol Survey, who's a great friends with everybody in the Champ Car paddock, was with us in the commentary booth in Las Vegas 1 week ago. He was invited to step in for Paul Tracy into the number 3 car for this weekend in Long Beach.
I'm good friends with Paul, and as a driver, you don't want any driver, in general, to get hurt. So that's bad. I mean, the good thing is not too bad. I mean, he's going to be okay in a couple of months or so. But for me, it's a huge break. You know, I mean, I've been trying to get a good ride for the all off season. I was actually talking to the Foresight team for a while. We're trying to put something together. It just didn't happen in time. So I'm just really glad they put me in the car, and they trust me that I'll do a good job for them.
And he's had very few laps this weekend, but the good news, James Hinchcliffe, is that he has at least done some pre-season testing.
Yes, he has. He has been in the car in the pre-season testing, and he's been showing very well for not having much practice here in Long Beach. He was very quick in this morning's warm-up, so we'll see how he does in the race.
Let's have a look at this classic street course in Long Beach, California.
We go down the front straight here. It is the famous Shoreline Drive into the first corner, the best passing opportunity, and also a lot of action and accidents. Remember, of course, last year, the big pile-up that was talked about all season long. Through the second, third, and fourth corners, the fountain around there, the off-camber turn 5, the uphill turn 6. Now we're through turn 8, jetting down the back straight Seaside Way into turn 9. Another great passing opportunity for these Champ cars. Very, very slippery turn 10 into the famous hairpin. Long Beach is known for it. So important to get the power down coming out of this corner, as it gives you the huge run down this long front straight into that good passing opportunity in the first corner.
Yeah, just the scene of so much action, so many success stories over the years. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for today's race. And it was Will Power who set the pace on Friday in qualifying. But, yeah, familiar story. Sebastian Bourdais had a dismal weekend in Las Vegas. Comes back and snares the pole. Will Power alongside Simon Pagenaud. A fabulous run in a second of the Team Australia cars. Alex Tagliani alongside.
Graham Rahal fifth in only his second Champ Car race, and Robert Dornbos coming off a podium last week in Vegas. Justin Wilson again a little disappointed with his qualifying effort, and Bruno Junqueira, three-time Champ Car runner-up, outside the fourth row.
Tristan Gomandy in the quickest of the PKV cars will line up on row 5 alongside it Mario Dominguez, who you remember caused a big fracas at the first corner here 1 year ago. Neil Jani in the second PKV car, and Matt Halliday, a very good run for Conquest Racing.
Row 7, Dan Clark on the inside for Team Minardi USA, and Oriol Servia making his Forsyth Racing Champ Car debut. Of course, very experienced driver. Look for him to move up again quick in morning warm-up. The eighth row of the grid, rather, is shared by the Pacific Coast Motorsports team of Ryan Dial and Alex Figge, and then, of course, Catherine Legg all on her own on the last row of the grid.
Yeah, Catherine struggled a little bit this weekend for Dale Coyne Racing. Also had a few mechanical problems as well, but don't forget, she won here in Long Beach herself 2 years ago in Atlantic, the first ever lady to win an Atlantic race. Remarkable achievement for her, and I know she'll be looking for a stronger run this afternoon. Here's that wonderful fountain section here by the Aquarium of Pacific. Kind of single file through this section of track, James Hinchcliffe, but the corner before turn 1, that's where we generally see all the action, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a wide corner. It's coming off a fast straightaway, and especially at the start of these races, when everybody's bunched up, everybody's eager, you got a full lot of push to pass to use. Look for drivers to be getting on that to try and get a good start. We're using the rolling starts here this weekend, but there's always action, always passing here in the first as we take a replay look at last year.
And Dominguez got into the back of his Forsyth teammate Paul Tracy, also involved there were AJ Allmendinger, Bruno Junqueira, Oriol Servia, and it was incredible. Alex Tagliani, who was so close to behind at those Forsyth cars, somehow snuck through and went on to finish on the podium for Team Australia. Now we've got 2 Team Australia cars, second and third on the grid, and we're getting ready to come up to the green flag on board here with Oriol Servia to carry the onboard cameras there for car number 3, and we're shaping up now, getting ready to go green. It's it is almost a single file start. The green flag is out, the race is on. We're on board with Graham Rahal. The Newman Haas racing car down towards turn 1, and much cleaner there, but look, a great start by Alex Tagliani, gets around Simon Pagenaud, the best of the rookie drivers, for third place.
Absolutely on board now with Graham around the fountain, up through the gears, now through corner 4. Graham Rahal started, of course, 5th. You see Sebastian lead the field through turn 5, and it looks like, was it Robert Dornbos maybe made a fantastic start to get up there. I could be mistaken there.
I think you might be right. Robert Dornbos, he really struggled. The whole Minardi Team USA team struggled on Friday. They were nowhere. Saturday morning they weren't much better, but he sat down with his race engineer Michael Cannon, did Robert Dornbos, and he came back strong in qualifying. Set a good top 5 time early on and then ran out of fuel, so I had to watch for the last 20 minutes of that session. Slipped back to 7th on the grid, but he has made a very good start, and that is also Alex Tagliani there, who went around Simon Pagenaud at the first corner, and that's kind of ironic, isn't it? Last year, of course, Alex was driving for Team Australia, and here James Hinchcliffe, he's splitting the 2 Team Australia cars, driving now for his former boss Paul Gentilozzi.
He's doing a fantastic job. I've been really impressed. It's kind of been a rebirth of Alex Tagliani. He struggled a little bit at the Walker team, but since joining Rocket Sports and then the merger between Rocket Sports and Rue Sport to form the R Sports team, a lot of sports in that sentence, but Alex has really been on form, often outperforming so far this year's teammate Justin Wilson, who we're on board with now, and we saw him locking the brakes just a little bit into that first corner as he runs behind Robert Dornbos.
That's right, on board the CDW car of Justin Wilson, the lanky Briton. He's so disappointed with the way this season has begun. He started with high expectations, and then all sorts of political machinations went on with what used to be the Rue Sport team, as James was saying, now part of the Rocket Sports organisation as well. Paul Gentilozzi is really overseeing the whole thing, and there is Alex Figge, one of the PCM cars onto pit lane for a change of nose cone in the very early stages of this race. And Alex Figge, he's a local guy. He was brought up really in Southern California. The team is the only California-based team just up the road in Oxnard, California. And Alex Figge actually did a very good job, particularly on Friday. He was knocking on the door of the top 10 in qualifying.
Yeah, they're getting better. They're improving. Obviously, a new team and 2 new drivers to the Champ Car World Series. They are getting a little bit better. And as we look back on the back of Graham Rahal's Medizone number 2, Newman Haas Lanigan Racing, the newly formed team, or new partner in that team for this year.
It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Newman Haas Lanigan Racing, as you say. Michael Lanigan there, the boss of MyJack Cranes, one of the biggest crane companies in the world, in actual fact. And he's he was partnered with Eric Bachelard at Conquest Racing, now joins 2 of the biggest names in the sport in this country, Paul Newman and Carl Haas. And then there's the number 2 car there of Graham Rahal, finished second in last year's Atlantic Championship, but it was a very close second, plus he was the guy who won more races than anybody else, got more poles, led more laps, and now he's got himself a prime ride in the Champ Cars, but he's running behind the guy who beat him to the championship
well,
1 year ago.
I can definitely tell you after talking to Graham Rahal, I'm very frustrated from Las Vegas, but the important thing he wanted to note was that the team isn't forcing him to use settings that Sebastian uses. He says a lot of times when you join a team that has championships and wins, they want you to run what the other drivers are running. Graham said, I've just been thrilled that they're working with me on what I want to set up the car like. Even though I haven't got it totally dialed in, I feel really comfortable with the way they're setting things up.
And that's a really good point that Cameron makes there, is Graham is coming on to a very established team with a very established teammate and 3-time champion Sebastian Bourdais. So the fact that they clearly have faith in Graham's ability, he's proved that not only in the Atlantic Series but also in series test and preseason, as we look at Oriol Survey there, who has moved up a little bit. But it's fantastic that they're willing to work with him and get the car to work to what he likes. I think that's made even easier by the fact that it's a brand new car this year. Really good time for Rahal to be coming into the series.
That's exactly right. Of course, out on the first lap 1 week ago, and this weekend in Long Beach, he struggled, particularly on Friday, all sorts of gear shift problems. But as you say, now running in the top 5. And there's Oriol Survey there, a glance of the number 3 car. Oriol taken over from Paul Tracy, who wrecked on Saturday morning. This is the same chassis that PT crashed. In fact, there's very little damage to the car. It just concertinaed the nose cone up exactly as it should have done, but unfortunately Paul was injured in that shunt.
I was a little wondering or worried about what the setup would feel to me. He said, I was amazed, as you guys said, it was pretty much right on. We have not turned a screw on this car. For me, it's really me getting more comfortable. The one thing they're interested in, the pit stops. They practiced them all morning today in warm-ups because on his first try, he overshot the pits by 3 feet. So they're going to pay attention to those today during the race as well.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. So from the pit lane, and Oriol Survey just settling very, very quickly here. And it's a tough place to come in. You haven't driven the car for a few weeks. You certainly weren't expecting to drive the car this weekend. So you've got to play yourself in, particularly on a racetrack like this, James, where there's no room for error at all.
There really is none at all, like you say, and he's doing a fantastic job. I mean, we're looking at the battle here between Alex Tagliani and Simone Pagenaud, but for him to just hop into a race car, like you say, it's been months, I think, actually, since he's been in the car, and it's good to see that he was able to jump in and fit right into the settings Paul had on the car. This kind of made his job that much easier, and he's doing very well now. He's up to 13th, running relatively competitive lap times as well, so he's just settling in, and I really expect him to get quicker and quicker as this race goes on, because it's just laps under the belt for him.
Exactly right. I know Oriol expects to get quicker and quicker and quicker as well. There is a class. There is Alex Tagliani turning into the hairpin in 3rd place already. You can see the gap there between the first car. There is Power in 2nd place. Here is Tagliani. Right behind Tagliani is Simon Pagenaud in the 2nd of the Team Australia cars. Then Graham Rahal, Robert Dornbos, Justin Wilson up into 7th place, ahead of Bruno Junqueira and Tristan Gomondi for PKV Racing. And then Mario Dominguez rounding out the top 10. And Mario's struggled a little bit this weekend, certainly not going to the same sort of pace he was looking for.
No, absolutely, nor that of what Paul was showing before his accident on Saturday. So I think Mario's still coming into grips with the car, and you know, he only just rejoined Foresight Championship Racing right before the first race in Las Vegas. He had no testing with that team before the season got underway, so he's still learning a few things, and I know he's raced with the team before, but the team dynamics changed a little bit. A few people have come in, and a few people have left, so but Mario's doing a relatively good job, but he certainly needs to kind of pick up the pace in the near future if he wants to be running at the front.
5 laps completed here in Long Beach. So we are on lap 6 now of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, the 33rd running of this classic event, and you can see a great crowd on hand. They've had a lot of people here on Friday and Saturday. Certainly no doubt about it, the crowd figures have been up over the last few years, and last year was almost a record number here in Long Beach. There's tremendous enthusiasm. The weather conditions have been absolutely perfect. Actually, it's a little bit windy now, a little bit cooler than yesterday, but really perfect racing conditions, James.
It's been fantastic. I mean, like you say, it's not been too hot or humid, so it's very comfortable inside the cockpit. This morning in the Atlantic race, it really wasn't an issue in terms of the heat. Certainly not as hot as we even had last week in Las Vegas, so very comfortable driving conditions. The air's cool enough that the engines can make a lot of power, but the track is warm enough that these tires can work and get some grip.